you a little bit of information about why we're doing this. 2012 marks the 75th anniversary of the Idaho Potato Commission. We were formed in 1937, and the same creativity and vision that inspired its creation leads the commission still today. Idaho potatoes are the #1 potato in the U.S., and we've created a worldwide known brand, so it's pretty impressive. This year alone, we harvested over 12 billion pounds of potatoes, represents over $4 billion in revenue to the state and over 30,000 jobs. Now, today we are launching this great big Idaho potato truck as it begins its 7-month tour across the country. It'll be visiting over 30 states. Now, potatoes are a big deal here in Idaho. We grow these potatoes big. You've all seen the iconic postcards, the big potato on the flatbed trailers. We decided to bring it to life. It had its premiere at the famous Idaho Potato Bowl game in December, where it was viewed by over 30,000 football fans and over 2 million people on ESPN. So it's already had a little bit of a sneak preview out there in America, and folks are excited to see it. Now, one of the questions I've been most surprised to hear is we've taken this around a little bit around the state of Idaho, is it real? Well, I ask you, is it? Now, I'll tell you, if it's real, it took over 10,000 years to grow, and if you bake it, it's going to take you 2 years and 9 months to do that, and you'll need an awful big oven. Obviously, if you microwave it, you can knock off about a year off of that timing. It'll provide 30,000 servings of mashed potatoes. That's enough to feed the most of the folks in Bronco Stadium. The potato itself weighs 6 tons. The largest potato grown the normal way is 11 pounds. So this is 12,000 pounds. So you can see a little bit of a difference. Now, we want to recognize the creators, Chris Schofield and Sherilyn Spruce from Weezer. They're out of town this week, unfortunately. We would have them come be recognized. We also want to recognize all the specialized contractors. John, are you here? And others, wave your hand. Some of these guys worked very feverishly building this monster potato. We also want to recognize Kenworth Packley's Truck Company. Saw Jerry and Gary here, wherever you are. Wave. There they are, right there. And also from Western Trailers, I'm sorry, Jerry and Gary from Western Trailers, the folks from Kenworth, and Forrestal Design. These are all local companies here that created this magnificent potato. Now, you'll notice the logos on the trucks. The famous Idaho Potato Bowl. Obviously, we're now the title sponsor of what used to be the Humanitarian Bowl. We had an exciting first game this past December with Ohio coming from behind and beating Utah State. My apologies to all you Aggie fans. Maybe next year. The American Heart Association certified that Idaho potatoes are heart healthy. And this is the major theme of our advertising campaign, national campaign currently. So this is a big deal to us. Also, Meals on Wheels. One of the major purposes of this tour is to raise funds and awareness for Meals on Wheels. This organization provides over 1 million meals daily for homebound seniors. These are the folks a lot of people forget about. Well, Idaho Potato is going to make sure that they're not forgotten. And we not only are going to be raising awareness, the Idaho Potato Commission has donated $100,000 to this cause. Now, following our ribbon-cutting ceremony, our tater team, which consists of our drivers, Paul, who will be taking on the national tour, driving it across the country. Larry, where's Larry? Larry's been driving around Idaho, and he's very reluctant to hand the keys over to Paul. This potato's become his baby. And then our tater team of potato ambassadors, Katie and Ellis, right here. These folks are going to have to get to know each other very quickly, because they're going to spend 7 months in that rig. So they're we put them basically through SEAL 6 team training to see if they can endure this type of thing. As his travels across the country, he'll be making stops in places such as Washington, D.C., to remind folks why potatoes should be in the school lunch program. And also, the Big Spud will be heading to the Big Apple, which is our biggest market for Idaho potatoes. So it's a very big deal. For you to track where the potato's headed, just go to bigidahopotato.com, and we'll be using social media. These folks will be using YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter all the way across America. This will be probably the biggest publicity stunt in the history of Idaho. And it'll not only be big for potatoes, it'll be big for the entire economy of Idaho. We're very excited about that. Now, I am very honored that Governor Butch Otter has agreed to cut the ribbon. And I say that because he is the biggest promoter of potatoes in the state of Idaho. I've been on many trade missions with the governor, yes. and I'll tell you what, he knows how to sell spuds. I was ready to buy them myself in Taiwan. So we are thrilled that he's agreed to do this. We're going to invite the governor to come up and say a few words, and then we will proceed with the ribbon cutting. Governor.
Thank you, Frank, and thank you all for being here on this day. I guess we could just say we're irrigating. We haven't got many spuds in the ground yet because we got to wait till after the last freeze. We don't want to get them in and get them started and get them burnt off. But that's one of the reasons that the potato does so well in Idaho, because we end up with 120 frost-free days, so we can get the crop in ground and have plenty of time for it to mature. And that maturity is important to us, not only because of the volcanic ash and that we actually grow the potato in, but having the sunlight efficiency that we do in the state builds those solids. And, people will say, well, we grow the russet potato in other states. In fact, I can remember a few years ago when another state just to the west of us, I'm not going to mention who it was, but it was Washington, said, we grow the Idaho potato, but they don't grow it like we grow it in Idaho because of our high solids. And as Frank said, we're known all over the world for this. The last 12 years that I spent with the Simplot Company, I spent going around the world following McDonald's, because they chose the Idaho potato, the Idaho French fry, as what we now refer to affectionately as the Mac fry. And we sold that potato in 82 countries around the world. And so French fry in Idaho became terminology that was very, very acquainted, or folks all over the world was very much acquainted with. This potato, as Frank said, represents that would represent 12,000 with 120 hundredweight, right? Yeah, 120 hundredweight, which when you think about the 12 million that we grow in the state, this is a small representation of it. But I'm also proud of the fact, and Jerry Whitehead was introduced earlier, that not only is that potato a product of Idaho, but that trailer that it's running on is a product of Idaho. And because of the great dealerships that we have here in Idaho with our big trucks and our big truck needs, Kenworth is also a product of Idaho. So, fellas, thanks for making this an Idaho day as we ship it off around the world. I can't say any more because I'm getting wet. But anyway, and otters ought to be familiar with a little water. But anyway, folks, thanks for coming out, and thanks for the great send-off you're going to give these folks.